Louis Sacco, Louis and Louis Sacco, Cardinal. Susan Jean Lori Dunn on the couch. Unhealthy gossip phone conversation with mockeries while you get to deflect and say I'm crazy for talking about Cardinal Louis Sacco at the Vatican being elected Pope. When by 2028, Cardinal Louis Sacco is going to be elected Pope at the Vatican after Robert Francis Prevost retires. 6:42 p.m. 2/1, February 1st, 2026. In the picture is John Paul Schlegelmilch. Pope John Paul II. Susan's adopted mother is Louisa Mundorf, who's now dead. Susan's original birth certificate name is Lavinia. Cardinal Louis Sacco. My mother worked for the Department of Defense for 30 years. Kristi Noem at the Department of Homeland Security is inflicting corruption, persecuting Americans, being dishonest with surveillance, pursuing Class C felonies on Americans that speak about Cardinal Louis Sacco, Robert Leo Prevost, Francis Prevost, who has a brother named Louis Prevost in Florida. Pope Leo XIV is exacting lawlessness through the justice system, through any judge that took a bribe or happens to be related to somebody at the Vatican. Deflecting, saying names are common names when there's an obvious arrangement going on. There was an Alexander that sat next to Cale Brock on January 5th, 2026 at Justice John Paul Schlegelmilch 3rd District Court in Yerington, Nevada at the Donald John Trump Justice Complex. They do not put the name John, it's just Donald J. That is intellectual dishonesty. Co-pilot search branding. And by the way, Jean Malone lives across the street from Susan Jean Lori Dunn. And Judge Lorianne Matthias has the same middle name as Julianne Bice. Judge Camille Vecchiarelli recused the case out of bias, and John Schlegelmilch wrote my father, William Francis Dunn III, a thank you letter in 2016 for my father's participation in a murder trial as a juror. And John Schlegelmilch brought up bias. It's a mockery. God forgive you, John Paul Schlegelmilch. Pope Alexander II played a crucial role in supporting William the Conqueror's invasion of England in 1066, providing papal endorsement that legitimized William's claim to the English throne. Cardinal Louis Sacco of Baghdad, Iraq, shaking hands with Pope Leo XIV of Chicago, Illinois at the Vatican. He's backstabbing America. He's going to be retiring by 2028, and he has a brother, Robert Francis Prevost. Pope Leo XIV has a brother in Florida that met Donald Trump named Louis Prevost. Cardinal Louis Sacco of Baghdad, whom Saddam Hussein, all the Iraqi war, Desert Storm, you name it, was to get Saddam Hussein out of power and to get Cardinal Louis Sacco eventually elected as Pope to walk over any United States Marines that don't care, like Court, that are into framing their neighbors, remoting into computers. Photo Dad Jeremy Silva at 2027 Lonnie Lane has a Photo Dad Nevada personalized license plate on a silver Toyota. It was Judas that gave up Jesus Christ for 30 shekels of silver. Jeremy Silva stuffing garbage cans with nasty pictures to his neighbors, such as Joshua Swanick across the street. Court's doing the same thing, and he has a camera pointed at 2029, and Court Anders Ellison, United States Marine Corps, turns off his camera and does the same techniques that Julianne Bice does with their camera when they go and harass a neighbor's house while having a restraining order filed on them for irony. You turn off their camera, do whatever they want to this house, and then you run back in their house and they turn back on their camera. Pope Alexander II played a crucial role in supporting William the Conqueror's invasion of England in 1066, providing papal endorsement that legitimized William's claim to the English throne. papal support for the Norman Conquest and the Constitution of the Society of Jesus and their complementary norms. St. Louis, where they were authored. The most recent version was authored in St. Louis, Missouri, 1996. Pope Alexander II, who reigned from 1061 to 1073, was instrumental in authorizing William the Conqueror's invasion of England. His support was pivotal for several reasons. Legitimization of William's claim. The Pope's endorsement helped legitimize William's claim to the English throne, particularly after King Harold Godwinson broke his oath to support William. This papal backing framed the invasion as a righteous cause, turning it into a sort of holy war. Blessing the banner, a significant symbol of this support, was the blessing of a cross banner by Pope Alexander II, which was carried into battle by William forces during the Battle of Hastings. This banner not only served as a rallying point for the Normans, but also symbolized their mission as crusaders, promising them spiritual rewards for their efforts. Political maneuvering. The Pope's support was also part of a broader strategy to strengthen the Church's influence in England and beyond. By backing William, the Pope aimed to establish a powerful ally in the region which could help combat simony and other issues within the Church. Most Holy Lateran Church of all the churches in the city and the world, the mother and head, Sacrosancta Lateranus Ecclesia Omnium Urbis et Orbis Ecclesiarum Mater et Caput, as in the Capuchin families, related to the Rupertines. Charlemagne, this is correct, and they're related to the Merovingians, but the modern house of Bourbon, the Spanish Bourbons, is related to the Capuchins and spelled exactly the same as Caput. And so are the house of Stuart. They're direct ancestors of the Capuchins that ruled in France. Alan Flad, the progenitor of the House of Stuart, is related to Caput, the House of Caput in France, settled in Scotland. Description of the facade of the Archbasilica of St. John Lateran in Rome. How could a church be the mother when it's named after a man? That is ill reasoning, and I pray you do not allow this to influence your judicial decisions any further in the court of law. John Schlegelmilch. What basilica is the mother and head of all the churches in the city and the world? Hint, it's not the Vatican. Pope John Paul II, and John Paul Schlegelmilch. As a Louis Sacco agent. Louis Sacco was at war with Pope John Paul II. Inscribed on the entryway to the portico of the Basilica of St. John Lateran in Rome are the words, mother and head of all the churches in the city and the world. Kamala Harris, by the way, is related to the House of Bourbon. Raphael Warnock, both of them to be inaugurated president, vice president, January 20th, 2029. Warnock has the same name as Raphael Sacco, Cardinal Louis Raphael Sacco, Raphael Warnock. Warnock is related to Clovis. Daniel 7:23-28 King James Version. Thus he said, the fourth beast, I'm William Francis Dunn, the fourth, shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, all rise, and another shall rise after them, all rise in the court of law, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings, and he shall speak great words, make America great again, John Trump, against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given unto his hand until a time, and the times, and the dividing of time. On the phone, wearing scarlet-covered beast, colored whore, colored beast, in the Department of Defense for 30 years, pointing at a bottle. Is a very devious intent picture. They know how to set up and frame people, and they're framed. They do not want anyone. They do not want anyone to have a good life. They call a ball and chain. They need to repent. Oh, I would love my mother to pay off the mortgage, have a stable house over their head. Susan Jean Laurie Dunn. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until the times and times of the dividing of time. And this person here has a division on their scalp. Susan Jean Laurie Dunn, that is a division. It's a church controlling the state, intellectually dishonest, needs to repent from false religious practices, repent from allowing a corrupt religion to influence your judicial decisions. Shayla C. Holmes, Stephen Burns Rye. Shayla C. Holmes, the Lyon County Human Services influenced this restraining order, is related to Julianne Bice, and the Judge Lorianne Matthias has the same middle name as Julianne Bice. Judge Camille Vecchiarelli recused this case out of bias. And then they decide to throw another second. I haven't even seen it since December 16th. And Cale Brock never told me that a Class C felony. He's already misinformed me, left off information, didn't tell me a Class C felony is 1 to 5 years. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. Guy Fawkes Day, the Jesuit treason, and the gunpowder plot, a plan was hatched by a joint collaboration of the Pope and the Jesuits to blow up the House of Lords during the state opening of Parliament on November 5th, 1605. Robert Catesby was a leader of a group of English Catholics who plotted to assassinate the Protestant King James I in the failed gunpowder plot. Guy Fawkes was a key member of the group and was chosen to bomb the Parliament owing to his experience as a soldier in the Spanish army. He smuggled 36 barrels of gunpowder into a cellar directly below the Parliament, which was enough to obliterate the entire building, thereby killing all the key members of the state, including the king and high-ranking officials. The real, meaning royal, reales, was a unit of currency in Spain for several centuries. After the mid-14th century, it underwent several changes in value relative to other units throughout its lifetime until it was replaced by the peseta in 1868. Inter caetera, among the works was a papal bull issued by Pope Alexander VI. By the way, Shayla C. Holmes is from Chicago, Illinois, just like Pope Leo XIV. Robert Francis Prevost and Julianne Bice across the street has a son named Robert that's a deadbeat father that has 2 high school dropouts living at grandma's house. One of them vandalized a public bathroom, Nathan Grove, and this is what Julianne Bice says. They all get to inflict the law on another neighbor while they have disrespected the law in the past. You need to repent from being a dishonest prosecutor, dishonest public defender, prosecuting the truth, speak the truth for your clients as a public defender, judge in the truth. Was a papal bull issued by Pope Alexander VI on May 4th, 1493, which granted to the Catholic monarchs King Ferdinand II of Aragon and Queen Isabella I of Castile all lands to the west and south of a pole-to-pole line 100 leagues west and south of any of the islands of the Azores or the Cape Verde Islands. Trump Vance meet with Pope Leo's Florida brother, a major MAGA fan at the White House. Kim Luciani, May 22nd, 2025. President Donald Trump met with Pope Leo XIV's brother, Louis Prevost, at the White House. A papal renunciation, also called a papal abdication, occurs when the current Pope of the Catholic Church voluntarily resigns his position. Pope John Paul Schlegelmilch, Albino Luciani, October 17, 1912 to 28 September, was head of the Catholic Church and sovereign of Vatican City from 26 August 1978 until his death 33 days later. On May 13th, 1981, in St. Peter's Square in Vatican City, Pope John Paul II was shot and wounded by Mehmet Ali Agca while he was entering the square. Sacco Limited is a Finnish firearm and ammunition manufacturer located in Rimaki, Kantahame in southern Finland. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. When you hear this, think of Charlie Kirk, what happened to Charlie Kirk being shot to death on stage, assassinated. Pope John Paul's legal name was Carl, as in Charlie. And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast, and he was sniped by a sniper rifle. Charlie Kirk. Louis Sacco Limited. Sacco. Louis Raphael Sacco, whom Raphael Warnock has the same name. Louis Raphael Sacco, born July 4th, is a Chaldean Catholic prelate who has served as Patriarch of Baghdad since February 1st, 2013. Pope Francis made him a cardinal on June 28th, 2018. Seminary of St. John, Schlegelmilch. Seminary, Syrio-Chaldean, St. Jean Malone, 2030, Lonnie Lane, and Susan Jean, Lori Dunn, right across the street from each other, 2031, Lonnie Lane, Dayton, Nevada. Had Mar Yohanna al-Habib, a prestigious Roman Catholic theological seminary in Mosul, Iraq, called Seminary Syrio-Chaldean St. Jean in French. It was founded by the French Dominican Fathers in 1870, and though it was closed between the beginning of the First World War in 1923, it continued to serve the Chald and Syrian Catholic churches until 1973, when it was shut down by the Iraqi authorities. Honorable Judge John Paul Schlegelmilch, that's his name, John Paul. This is what I was told. Susan actually pointed it out to me. The same Susan that read Schlegelmilch's letter to my father, but will not let me take a picture and upload it to the internet and do keyword matches of how John Schlegelmilch talked, a bias courts, does not want justice to be biased, to my William Francis Dunn III, who was cremated back in 2021. Stephen Burns Rye is conspiring harm on the community, conspiring evidence, false evidence, you name it. Remoting in the neighbors' computers, planting false evidence. Back in June 2025, he didn't want to press charges on me to begin with off of my first arrest, but then bam, by August after August 24, Roman at the Lyon County Most team had me detained. The Society of Jesus is a Roman work of the entire society according to their constitutions. Had me detained at Mallory. I suspect they modified my bedroom, arranged items. They are remoting the neighbors' computers, planting files, you name it, stuffing neighbors' garbage cans with smut pictures. Is photo dad Jeremy Silva at 2027 Lonnie Lane. He's got a silver Toyota with a personalized Nevada license plate that says photo dad on it. He's stuffing nasty photos into Joshua Swannick's garbage can. Court's doing the same thing. He disables the camera at his house at 2028 Lonnie Lane. Court Anders, United States Marine Corps hacker. And he's done the same thing in the neighbors across the street from him at 2029. And he's also remoting in the computers. Julia Bice does the same behavior across the board. Turns off their security camera and messes with this house. And then they go back inside their house. They vandalized a bathroom already here in town at the park near Riverboat here in Dayton, Nevada. And this is what the courts are. They get to just inflict. They're the ones. They need to repent and move on with their lives. District Court, 3rd Judicial, Department 1, phone number 775-463-6571, extension 1. Arraignment at 3rd Judicial District Court, 911 Harvey Way, which, by the way, Naomi Irion's father's name is Herv, and it has the same etymological root as Harvey. 9/11, September 2001 attacks. Naomi Irion was murdered by Troy Driver. Naomi Irion's father is a diplomat from South Africa to Ukraine. They covered up a connection to the Ukrainian war when they had Troy Driver eliminated at Brad Pope's County Jail. He did not suicide. And these judges, they are somehow conspiring murder on inmates and covering up as suicides. Arraignment at 3rd Judicial District Court, 911 Harvey Way, Yerington, Nevada, 89447. Phone number 775-463-6503. And they have me as a comp. They still, since December 16th, have this is terrible. Kel Brock never told me a Class C is 1 to 5 years. December 16, 2025. William Francis, done as in Robert Francis Prevost, Pope Leo XIV. Pope Francis before him. Oh, yeah. Robert Francis Kennedy, the secretary of whatever the health department is. William Francis Dunn the fourth, 2031, Lonnie Lane, Dayton, Nevada, 89403, Social Security number 557-730-0018. Date of birth, November 12th, 1980. Same date of birth as Arturo Sosa, the Superior General of the Society of Jesus, who will be retiring by 2027. With Jeffrey Burwell of Canada elected as Superior General of the Society of Jesus. And then Pope Leo XIV will be retiring by 2028. Cardinal Louis Sacco elected Pope at the Vatican by 2028, right before Kamala Harris and Warnock are elected President, Vice President of the United States, inaugurated January 2029. As per numerology, 666, I have a red birthmark on my right hand. As per numerology, 666, when added, comes to 9, a tricky number that stands for greediness and natural disasters, but 9, 6 plus 6 equals 18. And then the 1 and 8 from the 18 that's added to 9 is also the number of Mars Mangol, which means extra energy, which can either make or break. It is impulsive, restless, stubborn, and inflexible as Jumani. Times of India, indiatimes.com. Revelation 13:18. Social Security number is 18. Drop the last 2 digits. 4 digits of Social Security is 18. Revelation 13:18 and Revelation 13:16 mentions that a mark is on their right hand or on their forehead. Revelation 13:16 through 18. Revelation 13:18. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. 9-digit Social Security number is the sum total of 666. In February 9th at 9 a.m. at Judge John Schlegelmilch's court, and these lawyers' attorneys are not answering my phone calls. None of them have so far. I am not playing musical attorneys to John Schlegelmilch. He said this to me in his court on January 2026, and it is not the case. Samuel Figueroa gave me my money back, dropped my case. Kel Brock, Stephen Burns Rye. Lori Ann has put a black ball on me in the Bar Association, telling lawyers to not answer my call, not take the case. That is corrupt. Please stop doing that to people. The Rome Survey Social Security Administration has Rome in the URL, RO as in Rome, Italy, where the Vatican resides, Vatican City, and Pope Francis addressed the House of Representatives Congress in 2015 right from the front floor in Washington, D.C., and he also sat in front of a fireplace. Stephen Burns Rye next to Obama. That is the church controlling the state. It's a corrupt church. And it says Rome, HTML, SSA.gov. My account, thank you for using my Social Security. The word Assos in Arabic means principle. The Assassiyyin, the Hashashim, or the assassin order, which is the modern day Society of Jesus that operated through the Priory of Sion and recruited Knight Templars, the Order of Calatrava, Alcantara, Santiago, and the Teutonic Knights as a military ecclesial order, and now controls the papacy. The word Assos in Arabic means principle. The Assassiyyin, from literary Arabic, were as defined in Arabic, the principal people. Principle and foundation. The spiritual exercises of Ignatius Loyola, Jesuit, formed the Society of Jesus in 1534 and approved by Pope Paul III in 1540 and Pope Julius, translated from the autograph by Father Elder Mullen, S.J. IHS, P.J. Kennedy and Sons, printers to the Holy Apostolic Class C felony.